Hello, 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 everyone. I'm Monica Henderson, and we are live with Mink Life Motivation Live. It is Wednesday, and it means it is time for us to get this party started. So with that, I am so excited to bring you this week's topic, which is on nurturing as a form of self-expression. And to help me craft this conversation today, I have all kinds of awesome people as my co-hosts today. So to join me today in helping us understand this conversation, we have my co-host, Andrea Gewert. She is the Wellness Thrive strategist with Wellbeing Worth. She is also a Mink Life Motivation Master Trainer and the Dean of the Mink Life University. Andrea.
Hey, everybody. It's such a full house. I'm excited.
All right. I can't wait to get into the topics today. And also, we have Irina Strunina, who is sitting in for Peggy this week, as Peggy is prepping for her wedding. And she is the founder of Smart Move 360. She's a health strategist and Mink Life Motivation Trainer for the Life Calibrator. Irina.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, girl.
And also, like I said, we have a live show today in that we have Eric Broswell with the Broswell Group. He's a relationship coach and a Mink Life Motivation Trainer for the Life Calibrator as well. Hey, Eric.
Hey, ladies.
And we also have Marilyn. Oops, sorry, Marilyn. Your slide got hidden. Let me try that again. There you are. She's the founder of Enjoyable Life's Journey. She is a life designer coach and a Mink Life Motivation strategic partner, Marilyn Robinson.
Hey, Marilyn.
And last but not least, you are the fifth co-host off the couch, as we are so excited to have you a part of our conversation here. So as you join in on our conversation today, we're just going to pop this little up here. Feel free. We have Peggy, who is chiming in from the couch today. We also have Yo, who's also coming in. Hey. So we co-host Off the Couch. I'm excited to kind of get into the topic today since there's more of us. I suspect we are going to be lit. So this month we're talking about nurturing. And nurturing is kind of one of those conversations that as business owners, when we hear nurturing, you might hear a lot of people say, oh, well, nurturing is all about you. And yes, nurturing is all about you. However, it is about how you express yourself through sharing love with people, places, and things that make you happy and give you fulfillment. And so to dive into the conversation today, I really kind of want to just point out that we have so many nurturing experts right now on the show that I'm not sure that the hour is going to contain all of us. So with that, I want to get us super motivated by asking the first question of the day, and that is, why is nurturing a form of self-expression? So to kick this conversation off, let's start with our lovely strategic partner, Marilyn.
Hello. It's so fun to be here. I love it. Why is it a form of self-expression? Nurturing is personality, and we all do it differently. But I see that it's one of the strongest gifts of love that you can give others, and there is, a point how much you nurture versus how much you control. So be aware of that. You need to give to people what they need. And I think is very, very important. There's three people have. There's the survival. So your spouse, that wonderful, delicious meal is very giving. And so, um, survival need, and there's the quality of life need. So in my case, my husband will do outdoor stuff. So my notion of being able to go and do things with him that he loves is nurturing. I enjoy it too, but he enjoys some of the activities much more than I do. And then the last need is really critical. It's the need people tend to give up on. It's they're expecting something and they're not getting it. So that's for yourself as well as for people around you. So if they want adoration or validation, and that is one of the things that you can easily express to gratitude as well as recognition for what they contribute. That's the mic.
I don't think there's anything else to say.
Right.
Yeah,
right. That was fun.
She summed it up. I don't know. I mean, not to Eric. Maybe you have something to add, Arena. I'm like, I'm like looking at the time. I'm like, no, that was awesome, Marilyn.
That was so good.
It down.
I know, right?
Thank you.
So, Eric, did you want to add anything to what Marilyn was saying? Because I think it's an and at this point.
Exactly. And along with that, that was so good. I would say with nurturing also, when it comes to self-expression, it helps us to learn and present ourselves to others as a trusting person, a person that can be trusted. You know, the foundation for being trustworthy can be laid using this particular skill of nurturing. You know, we demonstrate to people, we're expressing to them that, hey, I am a trusting person. You know, and it also helps us to develop and cultivate compassion or empathy, you know, towards others, the ability to stand shoulder to shoulder with people in their situations, whether it's something difficult or something very good that's going on, being able to connect with the feelings and the experiences of others. That is a part of self-expression, because we all want someone to identify with us. And so naturally, it as a nurturer, we would automatically want to know how to identify with other people, and being able to express empathy to people, whatever state they're in, is very, very important in developing as a nurturer and expressing ourselves.
Absolutely. Irina, did you want to share? Irina?
Oh, no.
No. I don't think she can hear us. I think we're having some technical difficulties. What about Andrea? Did you want to add some to that?
Well, I just loved how deeply they both contributed to the idea of nurturing, not just as a sport, no, but as a full body thing, right? It's not just mind. It's not just showing up with the food, as she said. It's really like showing up and being in that place of being out in the outdoors, enjoying it, but being like, I like fly fishing, but I don't like being wet all the time. Like for instance, I mean, I'm just saying, I want to go fly fishing with my husband, but then I'm like, I think after an hour I'm going to be good. Right. And so I love that you both put that out there. And then the building of trust and empathy that comes from those expressions of togetherness that you're doing with a person to show that you adore, respect, admire, empathize, and can actually exist in that same compassionate space, like Eric said. And I say all of those things help you holistically as a human to feel good. You get your hormones going that are good about, feeling good, your oxytocin naturally, things like that. So that nurturing is a self-expression, and developing that as a skill is fulfilling in so many ways, but it's also one where you can find your path, and I don't want to say pleasure oneself, but fill up at the same time. So I know we're not talking about, because we all health people are like, oh, nurturing, you have to take care of yourself. Like Monica started this whole conversation, but the sheer act of giving like that is so, I think Eric said about gratitude is one of those things that is a two-way filling up street. So brava to both of you, because they were such good answers that I feel like I don't know what to say. But I wanted to add that whole part about the hormonal part that comes from the act of nurturing. I was like, what can I add? Well, oh yeah, that one little thing. So for sure, I have been thinking about this a lot, as I have a freshman going to college, and we got a new pet. So all of those things are really true. I'm learning like firsthand. It's right front of mind. So.
Absolutely. So for our co-host off the couch, definitely chime in on what your answer is to this question. One of the things, so when I talk to people about nurturing and when I'm kind of helping them understand how we are defining nurturing and why we define nurturing, most people automatically put on their I am nurturing myself cap, or they put on I am a parent cap. But there are so many ways throughout your life that you are a nurturer. And a lot of the times we don't even consider those as ways that we are nurturing, like mentoring and taking care of elderly parents and gardening and collections. These are all things that you are pouring your love into for the sheer pleasure of the growth, to see the growth and the success of that. And so even if you are not a parent of a human walking child, but maybe you, or a puppy parent or a kitty cat parent or a lizard parent or whatever it is, there are so many ways that we actually nurture just by pouring into someone else. And that is a form of self-expression because, we've all heard of love languages, right? And in acts of service is one of those love language. And so it means something to the other end. The growth or the excitement that happens on the other side when you are nurturing in that way. Although with children, sometimes there is no excitement on the other end. But seeing the kind of success happen really lends to a beautiful kind of feeling. And it really does kind of help in so many ways. So I love this conversation so much. And I'm going to, usually we have a guest who's going to give their entrepreneurial journey. But today we have so many amazing people in the room that I'm actually going to ask you all a question to help us get inspired. I'm going to ask you the question of how are you kind of expressing yourself through nurturing currently, and how does that affect you or improve yourself in your business? So what person, place, or thing are you nurturing, and how does that help you as a business owner be better in your business? Anyone want to dive into that particular question first? I know it's kind of a curveball for y'all. Let me take yours.
I can go. I always say.
I know. Marilyn,
there it
yes.
goes.
Marilyn is always ready.
No, go ahead, Marilyn. I want to hear what you have to say.
So I think one of the things that I focus with my, I've been married 34 years. My anniversary was Saturday, and it's still a lot of communication. So when I'm working on my relationship with my husband, we are working together on our communication, so being more precise in how we say things, including people's names. My husband really likes to include their last name because I know 3 Sharons and he doesn't know which one I'm talking about. But, the ability to really communicate efficiently and effectively, and that includes listening. Obviously, we all need to learn human, but active listening, have that contact, have those supporting words and patient, and give them the floor, knowing that when they're done, you'll have the floor too. So I think that carries over quite well in my coaching business because I'm a listener. I mean, that's what my job is, to listen and help people and let them direct themselves through their conversation. So times in business, as a coach, you're not telling them what to do. You're for them to find the path themselves. And I'll pass the mic before I take everything away.
Eric.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. That was really good.
So Eric, who are you nurturing and how does that help you in your business?
Well, here's one thing is I nurture myself as well as my relationship with my wife. And so one of the things that does is that one of the things we like to do is we like to take walks in the neighborhood. And that's usually our time to talk about things with work at times and some of the insights that we've learned. And then we get a chance to hear the other person's mind, to get their insight, to get feedback. And I think the feedback is my favorite part, because just the fact that my eyes can get open to something that I may not be aware of, or I might be aware of, and maybe it could be an area where I can self-correct, or maybe it's an area where, oh, okay, I'm doing very good in this area. And so I would definitely say with my times with my wife, when we're talking and what that actually does is that it sharpens us for how we need to move forward with our business. Now we know how to better support our clients, what to add to our trainings or our sessions with our clients. And that is something that I really enjoy, and that we pour into each other in those moments when we're together like that, and we're just walking, maybe sometimes we're walking the dog and sometimes it's just both of us, we're taking a walk together, but that is something that we also enjoy. And then sometimes it's just a long drive. It's like when we're taking a little trip somewhere.
Okay.
Irina?
I am on the screen. Well, in my case, who I'm nurturing, I have this group that is growing very fast and rapidly, and it's called a Facebook group called Diabetes 101 for Beginners. And these are the beginners, people who just got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and they are lost in their, in their world. And my nurturing is, for one thing, to make sure that I am listening to their questions. But the other thing, and what I learn every day, is also asking right questions, asking like open-ended questions, and listen what people say, because I can guess what they think. I know what I think they have to know, but in reality, I don't know how to read minds. And asking questions, more questions with varieties of answers, and then listen to those answers is very helpful to provide the service, provide the care that people are looking for. That's my answer.
I see we're just going to round table it with little vignettes. Thank you, Monica. I love your answer, everybody.
Is there a connection issue?
Everyone's comments really hit home for me. And I was like, who am I nurturing so that it shows up in my business? And the newest member of my family is a little four-legged creature. And I'm going to admit here, everybody, we don't have time for a pet. And of course, we acquired the pet because we promised the pet and we got the pet. And now I find the simple, easy pleasure of being with this pet is very meaningful to me because it's simple. I think just the act of connecting and caring for this pet has shown me the simplicity by which we can show up for another, if that makes any sense. It doesn't have to be fancy. We just have to be present. And in that connection with the presence, there's so much joy, like in this little pet of ours. Like, he just needs this little bit of attention and he is so joyful. And I'm just like, wow, I think I've overthought that actual connection and simplicity of communication. It's really analogous to what Irina said about, asking the right questions. It's got me really curious. I say this a lot if you've been following along, about the ease and the simplicity by which we can just ask the right question is indicative of being there and in companionship or in communion or in gratitude. We're sharing the same space is nurturing at the same time. And it definitely has, I think, improved my ability to ask those open-ended questions like Irina said, with my clients and in my business. So yeah, I have to attribute it to my new pet, my new dog. His name is Luca.
Yeah, so nurturing's been an interesting kind of thought process for me recently because, this past year, if for most of us who are parents, was probably one of the most difficult years of parenting that I think any of us could have, because we were dealing with, it's one thing to care for your children and to help them grow and to really try to protect them from the world. And Andrea and I were having this conversation last night. But last year was the year that I really just had to say, I have no answers for this. I have zero answers for this. And it was really hard. But what it did was, for me, and how I ended up connecting to my business, is we're all winging it. Every last one of us is winging it in our lives. And it almost made my child feel a little bit better for me not to have all the answers and to be wrong than it was for me to actually say, yeah, well, we're going to be fine. It's going to be great. We're going to pull out of this in a certain period of time. That transparency that I learned through this experience of the pandemic, and it actually easing her mind of what's going on, even if it's bad news, but just kind of, transparency about what is happening and how much I do know and how much I don't know. And then just reassuring her that we're going to try and get through this together. That same principle, bringing it into my business and telling, my customers, hey, I don't know where your journey is going to end, but I can guarantee you that I will be here to support you through that. And whatever comes our way, we're going to tackle that. And I think that my nurturing of my child really kind of helped me understand how to be so incredibly transparent for my clients. And so that for me is how I directly correlated. And I love that we're having the chat just pop up directly on the screen now. So we do have Yo, who chimed in with, I'm nurturing myself. It helps me with my business by allowing me to be present and continue to show up. I also nurture my clients, my fitness clients. It helps me with my business when they see that I care beyond the session and keep showing up. Absolutely. Thanks, Yo, for chiming in on the couch as usual. We appreciate you. So to move the show along, we're going to have a little more conversation. And this is the fun part. It is all about networking and how we're going to keep asking the questions. So I know Wink Life Motivation is probably the one place where when we say networking, we say ask questions, right? But that is exactly the best way to network, right? Is to be able to ask questions, and we have a plethora of people here to ask the question. And the question that I have for you all to share with everyone is, how can you care, protect, and grow and develop those we nurture? So I'm going to start with Irina this time. So how can we care, protect, and develop those we nurture? Can she hear me? We're having some technical difficulties with the sound today in Irina, but that's okay. Let's go to Andrea. Do you want to kick this one off for us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. How can we care, protect, and develop those we nurture? Oh my goodness, there's so many ways, and all of our great guests have alluded to it too. But I'm going to kick off with, I have children. I used to love to garden. I take more care of my kids now than I do gardening. So I do miss gardening, to Monica's point about things that we like to do just because it gives us joy. But to her point about the nurturing of a child and getting through the pandemic and then getting a young person ready, like in my case for college after missing a year and a half of life, has been a very interesting journey, one that Monica and I have talked about a lot interpersonally. And it really is about the one, giving tools. Obviously, that's a basic, simple thing. You give tools and show them how to use these tools, and you demonstrate, hopefully, really good ways to implement and utilize the tools. And especially when it comes to a young person, they always have their way. So we have to give them the grace to try, to fail, and then correct. And I think that's all part of that nurturing process. To Marilyn said, it can be controlling. And so parenting a child or an elderly parent is remembering their agency of the person that you are nurturing is just as important as the action that you are hoping they will partake from you as part of that nurturing. So it is, I think Yo says, meeting individuals and their needs where they are and giving them the fortitude to continue on their way, to find their way. I think parenting is a huge nurturing exercise in this way. I know it has been for me. And then parenting through a pandemic has added another layer of how do I help you grow into the adult that I know you can be when so many of the experiential learning experiences are curtailed, are not happening. It is an interesting, profound question because I think there is so much in the process of doing that is necessary to growth. And so, and you can only hope that they hear you, and then you have to just trust that they're going to go out, in the case, my case, children, and take the tools and the things you've given them and implement them in a new and better way. And of course, be able to mind and take care of themselves. So I love this question. I've loved it since we've taught it because it really helps the nurturer understand the two-way street of nurturing, but also how it really, to Marilyn's point, can really fill somebody up and send them on their way. And it's wonderful to see who they become when they leap forward into their best self. So anyway, hope that was good.
That was great.
That was great.
Made me cry a little.
I've done a lot of crying lately, so it's true.
So I have to apologize. My computer is not quite catching up. I can hear Andrea now.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Wowzers. Okay.
That's an interesting way.
Yeah. Well, with technology, we will just have to rub the backs of all of ours. We'll nurture each other through this experience for sure.
Right.
Oh, poor Irina. So, Marilyn, did you want to share?
Sure. So, I have 3 adult children. They're all off on their own and having success, enjoying the things that we shared with them, the outdoors. Key thing that they've told me is the most important was the amount of support I gave them. The encouragement and the support. And Mike specifically said she loved how I let her. So my strategy with my children was I'm there to help up living with me. And so official to let them fall, let them make decisions. Obviously not anything that's going to hurt them, but decisions, share some consequences that help those decisions, depending upon which way they decide. But, let them make decisions, be there to support them, see what they need in support. And then if all, encourage them that it was a lesson learned. What did you learn? The questioning, then ask them what they want to do next. So some quick examples of my son was going off into high school. Obviously he wanted to get straight A's, and he rated because he got a B+ in biology. And I said, well, what did you do differently? And he goes, well, I guess, I had a B+ going final. So I guess if I had to do it over again, I'd study harder for my final. And I said, great. Well, that knowledge forward into your other classes as you seek. Now he's on that says, Mom, all the consequences you always shared with me. Well, none of them ever happened. I said, good. That demonstrates that you made solutions. But it's being there, even for my husband who projects and solves a lot of problems. It's being there for them, encouraging, not telling them what to do, but ask questions so that they make decisions, sound decisions on their own, and help them grow and develop in that thought process. I'll pass the mic.
Wow, that was really good, man. So when it comes to protecting and caring and developing those that we nurture, I would say a couple of things that would be important with that, along with Marilyn, what she was just sharing. I have to say, creating an environment of safety, freedom with boundaries. Because sometimes people tend to think that freedom means I could do whatever I want without establishing any boundaries or limits, and without even thinking about the consequences that may follow. I would say that that's important, in creating a non-judgmental environment also, so that people can feel safe, so that they can be their authentic and honest self. One of the reasons why children, my wife and I, we have 8 children, and one of the things that we learned is that if children aren't safe, they're not going to be honest. If they don't feel safe, they're not going to feel like being honest and transparent and authentic. And so that is something that is very important in creating that environment that, hey, yes, this is a safe environment. You're not going to get judged or shamed or guilted, even though at the same time, we will require some things, and I would say even correct when you have to correct them, keep connection to their heart and mind, that, hey, listen, during this whole conversation, as hard as it might be, you really matter, and I'm in your corner. We just have to talk about some hard things, and I'm going to allow you to figure out how you're going to fix this this situation that came from your choices or behavior. And one of the things my kids know that I'll say a lot when it comes to helping them is I won't do it for them. My first thing is, okay, well, you know, and it took me a minute to really get here, and I have to still watch myself because that desire to want to fix it for them. But one of the things I've gotten better with, especially this year, is just posing that question to them. What are you going to do? You know, because they're expecting us to fix it. You know, oh, well, aren't you going to do it? No. Can I support you? Yeah. You know, and it's like, well, Dad, I got to do this, or this happened, or I got this ticket and I got to go to court. Wow. What are you going to do?
Wow.
You know? and so it throws the ball. So the conversations are more of taking the victim and the bad guy out the situation and making everybody the good guy, and because everybody's responsible, and pushing the responsibility towards everybody in the conversation. Responsibility, everybody's got responsibility. If you're the victim, if you've been truly victimized by a situation or a person, okay, great, we'll support you with that. After that, you still have a responsibility. You don't have to remain in victim. You know, and I tell my kids, if you want to always play victim when you have opportunities and choices, you're no longer a victim, you're a volunteer. And so
he out here preaching, yo.
and so the conversations too, they move from we remove guilt and shaming off of it, and we keep I see the microphone. And we just put responsibility and accountability on the table.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's
Love that.
great.
Irina, can you hear any of this, Irina? No? Okay. So we're still having some tech issues with Irina. You know, I'm going to take a stab at this and say that, so I am notorious free range parent. My child is a free range child. She's always been a free range child. I've always, from birth, knew that my job is to only do my job, right? Not to life for her, but for me to do my job as a parent. And so for me, when I look at how I parented, you know, obviously I had to care for her because, you know, get me if I don't, right? If I don't do the simple things to take care of her, like making sure she's clean and healthy and educated, roof over her head, food, right? In her belly. So yeah, those are the basics. But I took protection in a different direction than most of the other parents that I have that I've met, which was my job was to give her the tools to protect herself, as opposed to keeping her out of danger. And so very, very young, she was, I believe, 2. And I was really, you know, I was a single mom at the time, and it was important for me to make sure that she knew how to take care of herself. If something should happen to me as the only parent, it was important for her to be able to get to safety, to identify who is a safe person, to be able to articulate to them how they can help her. And so I was, you know, propaganda is what I believe in. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I believe in propaganda as a parent. And so my propaganda to her was, she had rules. The first rule was, it's your job to listen and follow directions. That's your job. So even as a little baby, I'd sit her on the counter and go, what's your job? Listen and follow directions, right? Like really, really do that. And then the other thing I told her was, it's your job. I am at all times. You need to know where I am at all times. Don't get lost. because if you lose me, I'm gonna be very sad. So you need to know where I am at all times. And so what I would do periodically is I would test it. And so we would be playing at the, the little gymnasium in the middle of the mall that they have where all the kids are hopping on things. And I would sit there for a little while, and while she's playing, I would just kind of sneak off and hide behind a pillar. And I'd wait for her to see how long it would take for her to realize I was gone and to see what she was going to do. Now, I did give her training. I told her, see the people with the badges, and we pointed them out every store we went to. See the person with the badge? If you ever get lost or if you ever lose mommy, go find someone with the badge, because they're going to be able to help you. They'll know what to do. And so I would duck off and I would just wait. And sure enough, she'd like be playing, and she'd look around and she's like, "Where's my mom?" And then she would go, walk right over calmly over to a person with the badge and say, "Can you help me find my mom?" And then I would pop out from behind a pillar and go, "I'm here, baby, I'm here." And we would practice this at different ages along the way. What I didn't realize that was important about that is I was teaching her spatial awareness. I was teaching her to stay vigilant about her surroundings, even in play, even in enjoying herself, just kind of knowing what's going on at all times. And some people might say that might be robbing her of the joy of being to be free in that moment. But for me, it was just so incredibly important that if I had passed out, or if something had actually happened to me, that she would actually know what to do in case of an emergency. And so now, as a 14-year-old, she is well versed in being able to walk in communities and know what's happening, what's going on, being vigilant, especially when we're flying during COVID times in airport, watching other people in their space, knowing where I am in that. And what's funny is when it's really crowded, she keeps checking into where I am, even now to this day at 14, of checking, where is she? Because she got that early training of how to protect herself and how to be vigilant in herself. And as a woman in this world where women are often not protected, being able to teach her that at such a young age allowed her to have that as a foundational principle. So when we added the other things of protection, right, about protecting herself, then that piece wasn't a part of what we had to teach her. So she's hypervigilant. And if I can encourage any parent of any kind, right, whether you are a puppy parent or you are a gardener, that you kind of take that concept of protection, not from how do I shield it from anything that bad could happen to it, but how can I put in safeguards, right? How can I empower this thing to be able to sustain without me? And really look at protection in a different kind of a lens. So that's my little 2 cents on my nurturing and protecting. Any thoughts?
That's great. Yeah, awesome.
That was really good.
So, Irina, are you hearing anything yet? No. Oh, I'm so sad. I am so sad. Did everybody get a chance to share their care, level, and protect? The Irina thing is throwing me off my game a little bit.
Yes, we did, Monica.
Awesome. Well, we have one last piece, and that is it is time to gain a little knowledge. And so, what is your one tip for calibrating your nurturing? What is your one tip for calibrating your nurturing skills?
I did hear you.
Yes.
Your conversation went through, but the other ones, I apologize. I was hearing just pieces of it.
Well, share your one tip, please.
Yeah. I will have to rewatch that. I will have to see the replay and hear everything that everybody had to say.
I think there's a delay.
So share
Well,
Poor Rena.
Oh. Such a delay. Okay, well, we'll keep moving. Let's have Marilyn go for your one tip.
Okay. So I think I was thinking about this, and the says demonstrate what you want them to learn, and then there is a question about what is you're doing or what you're expecting them to do. There is the element of discipline. So even as my adult come home, I still tell them, hey, it's my house, it's my rules. So no throwing the ball in the living room. They still like to kick the stupid ball around. My example is also, I know, but an example is the mother bird. The mother bird shows you how to flap your, while she's sitting in the nest, she's flapping her wings, and then she takes off and she glides away. And then when she's done demonstrating it and chirping kids and telling them it's time to go, she knows them out of the nest. And they may not fly, but they know to spread their wings and glide. And a lot of them just on the ground figure it out that they need to flap their instead of just hold them out to actually fly. So that's kind of you let them go. So when with anybody, nobody wants to be told what to do, encouraged and help. And so being able to be there to guide and help and support, this thing as a parent is letting them go and striving on their own. But it's worth it. And they thank you for what you've taught them.
Okay. How about Eric? What is your one tip? One.
I would say that's funny. I would say don't hide your mistakes. Be honest and open about them. Your kids need to see you take ownership and responsibility for your choices and behaviors, and within that, you need that. There may be times where I would even go so far as to say, ask them for forgiveness, apologize to them, so that they'll learn how to do the same, because you don't want to create a culture of concealment within your family where there's a lot of dishonesty and deception. And when you ask for the truth, they drip feed and just give you a little bit at a time. And then you got to find out the whole story from somebody else.
Is it on me right now?
She's just now hearing the break.
Okay. So my one tip, and I don't know, as I said, what you were all suggesting, and except for Monica, I've heard Eric's stories. But one tip that I learned for myself through the years of taking care of many people is to trust them to make a decision, because so often we train them, we give them the tools, we give them directions, we explain them the reasons, but at the same time, we still kind of overlooking. But sometimes what we need to do just to trust that people who are caring for actually capable of making a decision and support them on their decision.
Nice.
That was a great
Awesome.
That was
great.
really I don't see any of us do any of that for another 3 minutes, but it's okay. So Eric, did you want to finish up what you were saying?
That was pretty much it. Just be open and honest, take responsibility, and volunteer feedback. Ask for feedback from your kids. Hey, How do you think that conversation went with me and you earlier? How do you think this situation went? How am I doing in this area of anxiety or anger, or when it comes to setting boundaries with you?
That's
yeah.
awesome.
It's really
Feedback.
It's really good. It's really, really good. I do service surveys with my daughter every as well. So, Andrea, what about you?
I'm trying to think what I would add, because those are definitely, these tips have been so awesome. I mean, one, I guess my biggest one is encouraging feedback. Like Eric's, it's a combination of modeling feedback, saying that I really, to your point, a customer service thing. I know kids are like, you don't want me to talk back. And I'm like, if I'm asking you a direct question, yes, I do want you to talk back. And talking back, it's so funny with some kids. And I'm like, well, an unsolicited comment that is totally not in the realm of anything we're talking about, that's kind of talking back. I'm like, it's noise. Like, what are we doing? But if I'm asking you a question, and if anyone asks you a question, this is your opportunity to truly share what is important and on your heart, and regardless of how it goes. And so I've had the witnessing honor of my daughter said something, and it still makes me choke up. So because of COVID, she and her very best friend for many years had a falling out. It's a very strange little situation. But like we all know, relationships have their ebb and flow, right? And this is something you have to learn. And it's one of those things that as parents, I think we want to be there when our kids have their first heartbreak of any sort. She said in this process of maturing with this friend, they didn't have a good follow-up conversation. It finally came, and it had been all this back and forth, and then there's this silence, and it was driving my daughter crazy. They finally met. And then she came back from that conversation, and she's like, well, what? There's no resolution. And I said, sometimes now it's just time. And now she's like, but it's like, I mean, can you have a platonic heartbreak? And I said, yes, you can. And it was so, and I said, but you both shared, and like, yes, platonic heartbreak is, I'm stealing the term because it's just as profound as, quote, in love, romantic heartbreak. I said, heartbreak is heartbreak, platonic or otherwise. And I am so proud of you to realize that you are having a platonic heartbreak. And she goes, Mom, why are you so weird? She's crying. She's in tears. And I'm like, because it's an emotional moment that you have to know. So you can appreciate what comes next, right? And I'm still the wackadoo, but I was like, platonic heartbreak. I got to be there. I got to be, so.
That's a brilliant term. I do feel like that's something.
It's a real thing. And kids don't have words for it. And I was like, you have a great word, a great term for this emotional moment for you. And they're all valid. Like teaching them that this is a valid pain to shape you, right? And so feedback, I was like, you got your feedback, and that is really important. She's like, you're such a weirdo, Mom. But anyway, so feedback. Platonic heartbreak.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
I really.
That was good.
That was very sweet. So my one thing is to release your idea of the desired outcome as early as possible. Your job is only to care, protect, and grow, but ultimately it is a divine, force that is bringing whatever it is to where it's supposed to be. And a lot of the times when we are trying to protect, care, and grow something, we will strangle it with our desire to make it go in the direction that we want it to go. And so the reason why I think I was comfortable having a free range child is because I realized when I was pregnant that that was the last time I was going to be able to control her environment. When she was in my belly was the only time that I was actually going to be able to fully control her environment. And so the ability to release the outcome, right, allows you to not put on the weight of them doing, like, making amends for your mistakes in your life, and have you living vicariously through you. And we all know those parents. We know those parents who didn't do what they needed to do in their lives, and so now their kid must be the kind of excellent that they never achieved. The best way to allow that little being to grow into who they are is to release control of what it is to be, but more be excited and curious about how is this going to, like, I'm watching this unfold, and I'm interested to see where this is going to end up instead. It makes for a better relationship. It kind of helps you do all of the things that they just told you as your one tip. But it also gives you an opportunity to just enjoy the experience of actually pouring into and seeing what develops after that, when you actually release the control of the outcome of this thing. So that's my one little tip. I am so sorry that you were having so many issues with hearing us. If you are hearing the words that are coming out of my mouth now, thumbs up. Let's see how long it takes for her to give us a thumbs up. So with that, it is one of my favorite times, in that it means it is time for announcements. Let's share exactly how people can connect with you. I want to start with the lovely Marilyn. How can people support you right now in your world? How can they be a part of the enjoyable life journey?
Yes. So my focus is to help people. I'm in my 60s, so I am enjoying the last third of my life, and I want to help others enjoy the last third of their life. And it's the best third. So I am reaching out to people. I'm interviewing people for my book. You can get a hold of me on LinkedIn, Marilyn Life Designer, LinkedIn, or Facebook, which is Marilyn Robb. And if you're interested in being interviewed, I'm looking for 40, 50, and 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds to gather information for my. So I appreciate it. I look forward to talking with you.
Awesome. Eric, what's going on, sir? How can people connect with you? How can they hang out in the Braz Wellness group?
All right. Yeah. So you can find us on Facebook, Braz Wellness Group. And there's resources there. There's videos there. Also, within that page, we have a little group. It's called Transforming Relationships, and that's where we have all of our videos. There's more videos on there. All you gotta do is just if you're in Braz Wellness Group, if you're a member, then you can ask for an invite for Transforming Relationships, and we'll put you right through where you can have access to all of our videos. And we cover a lot of topics concerning different areas and different aspects of relationships. And also you can reach me, if you need to contact me, if you're interested in having, a coaching session with your relationships, you can contact us through email or through Facebook group. Our email address is brazwellnessgroup at gmail.com.
Let's hope this works. Nope. Doesn't look like it's going to work. Okay. Andrea?
Oh, thanks, Monica. I want to invite people who are working through, I like to say a journey of wellness. I am a functional nutrition coach and mindset coach, and I really am wanting to change the conversation about how we approach wellness in all of its aspects. And so many people come to me for weight loss, and I'm like, yeah, let's deal with wellness. You're going to lose or be at the weight you need to be. So I have a public Facebook group. It's called Weight Loss and Wellness, a 360-degree approach to thrive. I would really like you to join, join me in that group, because there I sort of drop tidbits and we have conversations about really the whole 360-degree view of how to live your best life. So I am really excited to grow this group. You know, I've been inspired by Irina to do this because I just think there's so much misinformation or just confused information about how to thrive, and I want to change that. So join us in my group, and we're going to get our thrive on, so to speak.
Awesome. And I am going to share announcements for Mink Life Motivation. So at Mink Life Motivation, we are obviously a community, courses and conferences. And today I want to share about what's next. And that is it's time to level up. So as we are leveling up, we are preparing for our next 4 conferences. So there's lots of ways we can do this. The conferences are in Los Angeles, Sydney, Johannesburg, and London over the next couple months. It is time for you to really get ready for this 4th quarter. It is time to kick it in gear and expand your business. So applications are open now for dynamic speakers. Passes are on sale right now for attendees. If you're interested in attending or learning more, go to nextglobalvirtualconference.com. Today's quote of the day is give yourself to a greater purpose. It's our nature to nurture, and that is directly out of the nurturing section of the Life Calibrator. We have made it to the end of the show. It is with my pleasure to thank my co-host, Andrea and Irina, Eric, and Marilyn for coming on today. I really, really appreciate you and giving all of this value, all that knowledge. And I want to remind all of our people who are watching you have the ability to activate the vision within. Don't forget, sharing is caring. Hit that share button and let someone know how to nurture as a form of self-expression. Everyone wave bye. Bye.
Bye for now.